Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to FOBtv, the future of business. I'm your host, Kevin Benedict. I'm a futurist and lecturer here at TCS, and I want to welcome each of you here today. So today we're diving into one of the most transformative shifts. This is the biggest thing we've ever seen here. It's the convergence of AI and analytics and robotics and automation, where data stops being descriptive and starts being decisive. So to help me make sense of the evolving landscape, I'm joined by Deepak Seth, Gartner Director Analyst, expert of data analytics and artificial intelligence, and a good friend of the podcast, and an expert who spends his days decoding the future of intelligent systems, Deepak Seth. Deepak, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Kevin, such a pleasure joining you again. I think this is my fourth time on the show. So yeah, thanks for inviting me. Like a bad penny, I keep coming back. Yeah.
Well, you are so much fun and so insightful that this is going to be an ongoing series, I'm sure.
Absolutely, Kevin. And I think one big transformation, which maybe AI has brought about or some other things have brought about, is you are looking great. Looks like a lot of interesting stuff happening in your life too.
Yes, it must be artificial intelligence.
Yeah. So a reminder that artificial intelligence cannot take the place of exercising well and eating healthy and growing a beard and a mustache when you need to.
But let's find out where you're calling in from. I'm here in Boise, Idaho today. It's blue sky and sun, about 67 degrees today. But I see in the next week the temperature's going down and there's snowflakes in the forecast. But today, 67 and warm.
Well, Kevin, I'm calling from Fort Worth, Texas. We had a cold spell for a few days, but now we are back in the 80s for the next few. So, and the sun is shining bright. And in fact, last night, the northern lights showed up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area too. I think in the northern latitudes, a lot of people took very great pictures, Minnesota and other places. But looks like with the big solar flare which happened, the northern lights came as far south as
that
Texas.
is incredible. My colleague out of Colorado was sharing with the team today the pictures he took last night. Me, I went to bed without even knowing it was there. So, well, hey, So let's jump in here. From your vantage point there at Gartner, how is the narrative around AI evolving from hype to real business value? And what signs do you look for to tell the difference between hype and real business value?
Well, from a Gartner perspective, if you look at where AI is, we have started to say that just crossed the peak of inflated expectations and moving into the trough of disillusionment, according to the Gartner hype cycle. But a reminder here, the hype cycle is not about a technology per se, but it's about the hype about the technology. So when you start looking at AI, there are different, or you can say types, components, features which are at different stages in the hype cycle. So for example, generative AI is already less talked about right now, but agentic AI or AI agents are at the peak of inflated expectations kind of thing. And a reminder again to the audience is, even if a thing moves down into the trough of disillusionment, it doesn't mean that that particular technology or tool is not delivering value. In fact, even when it reaches the plateau of productivity, means beyond the trough of disillusionment, it's still a gift which can keep giving kind of thing. Only it will be less hyped about. So what is happening means over the last few years, means a couple of years, as things have stabilized a bit, companies have started focusing more on delivering value using AI, focusing on the value, rather keep focusing on the technology itself per se. Yeah. So many times when I talk to clients, I talk about how AI, we need to shift from talking about what AI is, all the billions of parameters it has been trained on and all that kind of stuff, to what the technology can do. And so that's what's happening with it right now. A lot of focus on bringing useful, productive use cases to the enterprise.
So I've been hearing so much about robots as well, and their application of basically their ability to inject unstructured data and be able to walk around and do things in unfamiliar spaces. So where is robotics and where is AGI, so artificial general intelligence, where are they on the hype cycles right now?
I mean, they are very much hype, but it seems like organizations, like many of the people who talk about AGI, which is artificial general intelligence, where AI is expected to have intelligence capabilities as good as humans, kind of thing. Some thinkers have moved beyond that and already started speaking about ASI, or artificial super intelligence, where AI will have better or higher intelligence than most humans, kind of thing. But even as we talk about that, the advice which we have been giving to clients is like, let the buzz about AGI and ASI not distract you from what is most important, which is using AI to deliver value for the enterprise. Yeah, because sometimes when this AGI and ASI conversation happens, people start thinking about, hey, is this a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde? Like, will this bring a Frankenstein monster which is being created, which will kill us? Some fathers of AI have, Jeffrey Hinton and Bangio and others, Joshua Bangio and others, have been talking about, and a lot of people have signed that declaration saying that AGI research should be stopped and companies shouldn't be doing it. But I think that's all. Means it's like you can't put a genie back into the bottle, kind of thing. AI has been invented, and sometimes when I see that, I'm reminded about by the caveman cartoons which you occasionally share on LinkedIn. So once the caveman discovered fire, if they would have just said, "Oh, no, no, we need to stop it from spreading, contain it. Nobody else needs to know about it. Let's keep it confined." That's not the way it evolved. The way it evolved was, okay, we have this is powerful, but this is dangerous, but it can be used and leveraged for a lot of great benefit. So let's figure out a way how we can use it responsibly, ethically, provide the right guidance. So that's why we developed the hearth and the oven and the cooktop and all that, those kind of things. We channelize that fire properly. So the same thing needs to happen with AI. So rather than this conversations about banning it or not, I don't think makes sense. What needs to be done is figuring out the right guardrails and governance to make it more meaningful.
Oh, yeah. And in taking your vignette forward, when we look at general purpose technologies, one of the big ones we talk about in a lot of our presentations was the steam engine when it came along. And the steam engine was was utilizing that same fire, right? To heat up and create the steam. So there's the fire creating expanded general purpose technologies. And that steam engine was the precursor to electric engines and the industrial age. So yeah, absolutely. All of that is just a progression. And, we shouldn't forget that we as humans created artificial intelligence to be a tool to help us progress and evolve. So it's not some superstitious magical thing that came out of the sky. This was the hard work of dedicated engineers creating the ability to extend human capability to far beyond what individual humans can go. We talk a lot about basically the interconnected polymathic capabilities of artificial intelligence. Somebody that has incredible expertise across many different domains of expertise. And that's exactly what generative AI has delivered to us today. And it was humans that made that to expand and extend our capabilities. Wow. That was a mouthful.
Absolutely. But even as we say that, we have to be mindful of the limitations of the technology too. So even with generative AI, if suddenly generative AI, if everybody in the world starts talking about the earth being flat, yeah, and generative AI picks it up, it will give a response to a question saying the earth is flat, but the earth is round. With due apologies to any flat earthers who may be listening to the call, but the earth is round. That is a fact. But generative AI may come up with a wrong answer and say the earth is flat if it starts hearing enough of that buzz or noise, kind of thing. So one has to be mindful. One has to be very, very mindful of, among other risks around hallucination, bias, and other kind of things.
But let me ask you this, Deepak. How many times a day do you reach for generative AI?
It means a lot of time. And so I think New York Times recently carried an interesting, it was a humorous article by someone saying he wanted to spend 48 hours without the use of AI. And he realized even a single minute they couldn't do that because Google Maps uses AI. Any thing which you order from anywhere is using AI to optimize their supply chain. So AI is included in there. You can't watch TV or Netflix or whatever because that recommendation system is all AI. So AI without our knowing it means a layperson knowing it. It is already embedded a lot in the way we live, breathe, think, everything. Yeah.
So I'm driving a relatively new truck. I bought it this year. It's a Toyota Tundra. And what's funny is that it just started talking to me this week. And I would ask it to give me some music, and it was Siri probably through CarPlay, and it would just do it. There was no sound, but suddenly today it started talking to me about my music choices.
But that brings an interesting dilemma also, is like many times these artificial systems have now started exhibiting what we can call empathy kind of thing.
Yep.
And what could happen is that this empathy could be emotionally weaponized kind of thing by marketers, by companies and stuff like that. So in fact, I have a predict which I have proposed, or a maverick which I have proposed about that, which may be published shortly, is around how do we prevent the emotional weaponization of this empathy built through AI kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be because we talk about large language models, but there's large behavioral models too, which teach AI how to take advantage of our emotional state in order to influence us. So yeah, absolutely. Those are huge, I would say, downside. I talk a lot about this one Professor Paul Virilio. He was an urbanist and philosopher, and he always says that he calls it the integral accident, which means any innovation that comes out, any invention or innovation always comes with it an automatic accident. So if you invent a new car, you invent a new car accident. You invent a boat that floats, you invent a boat that you innovate and invent a boat that sinks. So you can't have one without the other. AI is absolutely going to have the light side and the dark side. And we're going to have to figure out how to enhance that which benefits humans and diminish and manage, monitor, and control that which diminishes the quality of our life.
Absolutely. Well said, Kevin. So it's the yin and the yang, but the thing which goes along with that is, and it sometimes comes up in conversations, is did the car come first or did the traffic lights come first? Yeah. Did the airplane come first or did air traffic control come first kind of thing? So in most of the cases, there is a lag between a few accidents happen before humans impose strict guardrails and governance around things, because we are not able to fathom which way things could go kind of thing. Even when the car was first invented, it didn't have the brake, it didn't have the horn, it didn't have any of those things, and it went out on the road, and then they slowly started figuring out, my God, this thing goes fast, we better need to have some brakes on it and all that kind of stuff. So this is where the challenge lies right now, as AI is evolving at such a fast pace that the governance and the guardrails around AI, even the regulations around it, have not yet kept pace with how fast that is evolving.
So you brought up my caveman comedy series. One of them that I was working on earlier was the caveman elder said, nobody's going to get a motorized vehicle until we finally figure out what is left and right.
For sure.
There you go.
Yeah.
So that's my failed attempt at humor. But let me ask you the next question here. Many organizations still talk about analytics as if it's just a reporting function. How do you see analytics transform into something more adaptive and intelligent out there when you're talking to clients?
Yeah. So one thing is, so there's a lot of collisions happening between different thing, and one of the collision which has happened is the collision between analytics traditional analytics and the world of AI. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And when this collision happens, means when two things collide, then each of them acquires a slightly different trajectory, but also imbues some of the characteristics of each other, kind of thing. So if you look at the direction in which analytics will go now, it will pick up some of the attributes of the trajectory of AI. Yeah. And if you look at the way AI is evolving, a lot of it is around building. So you started off with large language models. They're already talking about large reasoning models. You talked about large behavioral models. So the direction is towards increasing the thinking, reasoning, and perceiving abilities of AI. So analytics also means we have all become very familiar with descriptive analytics, diagnostic analytics, predictive analytics, prescriptive analytics. We are saying the next thing which may happen in the same thing would be perceptive analytics. So it's like, yeah, AI figuring it's not so if you look at some of the things, descriptive analytics describe things happen, prescriptive prescribes things, and predictive predicts things would happen. Perceptive analytics will figure out what's going on and make recommendations on the basis of that, and in some cases even drive, means take decisions or drive actions, kind of thing. So it's like almost like the transition. If you look at your old cars, means we moved from Google Maps telling us where to go, which you can think of as, okay, it's a predictive analytics or it's prescriptive analytics, to the driverless car taking us where we need to go, kind of thing. Yeah. And somehow, means in your case, hey, your car figures out you're playing very mellow music or whatever, so takes you to instead of your, and when you listen to mellow music you go to a particular restaurant, but when you listen to hard rock you go to another kind of nightclub, and it automatically takes you there, kind of thing. So I'm exaggerating a bit. It means it's like, okay, it has now developed that ability. It is perceiving things and then driving actions on the basis of that. So anytime when we look at analytics now, means there's a lot of the traditional analytics is you prepare a report about something and then people are trying to derive insights from it, kind of thing. But why not straight away drive action on the basis of that, saying, hey, your sales in territory A are declining. You need to launch a marketing campaign for this. This is what the marketing campaign looks like, and let's execute it, kind of thing. Rather than you just figuring out, oh, territory A sold lesser than territory B over the period of last 3 years, kind of thing. So
it's not only having the data generation or the data capture systems in place and the ability to visualize the data, but really understanding what it means, right? It's speed. The key element there is speed to insight, isn't it?
Yeah. Speed to insight, and I would take it even further: speed to decision, speed to action.
God.
Yeah. Okay.
So a gentleman named Daniel Bros wrote a book called Kill Chain. It's kind of, a militaristic title, but the idea is exactly what you just said there. How many steps does it take to find something, identify it, and then take the final action on it, and then see if you got the results that you expected? And if not, what do you have to do next in the loop to make better, to identify the information and then take better actions so you get the results that you're after? Yeah. Fascinating. Have you seen any good examples with your clients out there on them using AI to actually act faster?
So we recently saw one vendor demonstrate a good capabilities around perceptive intelligence. I wouldn't want to name them here, but it's slowly starting to make inroads. In the decision intelligence space, we are seeing lot of traction happening. Means companies positioning some of their from analytics and BI moving to decision intelligence. But perceptive analytics would be even like one step beyond decision intelligence. That's what I would think.
Wow. So there's this whole trust factor, isn't there? You have to really trust the system in order to turn over to an automated decision-making algorithm. Yeah. So what does it take for a company to actually reach that level of trust?
So it's interesting. So we did a survey, and I think if I remember the numbers correctly, so right now 40% of CIOs or chief C-suite officers trust the AI to tell them the right thing, kind of thing. And in 2 years' time, they said 30% said that they would trust AI to do the right thing also. So it's almost, and the visual which I use for this while I share this information in a presentation or something is AI telling us what to do. We have that Google Maps telling us what to do. So we trust it. Yeah, we trust. Yeah. And we sometimes we hear horror stories about how Google or whatever map algorithm took people off of an unfinished bridge and they plunged or drove into the river. But people generally have started trusting it. But 2 years down the road, they will be trusting the car to take them wherever they need to go, kind of thing. So humans get you without even realizing it. We get used to things really, really fast. And just think of the way how pervasive smartphones have become and our reliance on them on kind of thing. People have delegated the task of pacifying their kids to the smart device. Yeah, and I see at airports, a 2-year-old or a 1-year-old infant that starts crying, and the mother or father just give them a large handheld screen for them to just watch some ball jumping on the screen, kind of thing. So that we are trusting AI to rear our babies. So then trusting AI to do other stuff won't be far behind.
And see, it's all relative, isn't it? Because with humans, between you and I, we don't assume that you 100% of the time will be accurate in everything you do and say.
Yeah.
That's not true. Humans, I don't know what percentage it would be, but let's just say 80% of the time, you're going to be accurate and right when I ask you a trivia question, right? So it's relative. If we're comparing a human to human, it might only be 80% accurate. I think generative AI is closer to 98% accurate. So if we're comparing that to humans, we've already surpassed that in accuracy.
You bring up a great point, but the thing is, humans hold technology to a higher standards than they hold themselves. Yeah. So, for example, if a driverless car of any kind has an accident, Tesla in self-drive mode or Waymo, it makes it to the front page news.
It does.
Kind of thing. In the same time, what's the number? 250,000 or 300,000 people die on the roads in the US. Most of them accidents are caused due to human error, kind of thing. So if you're an insurance company, you love driverless cars because most accidents are caused by humans. Yeah. So if every car was driverless, then there would be no loss of life. But we hold them to a different standard. So many times this conversation comes up, and I always tell even clients and others is like, you have to, if you want AI to be only as good as humans, means we have already reached that bar in many places, kind of thing. Do you just want it to be incrementally better? So if AI causes just 10% less accidents than human drivers, means that's already like 30,000 or whatever, 3,000. We need to do the math of how many lives are already saved. Yeah. So
that's just fascinating. So we all know, Deepak, that boardrooms, companies, execs, that are all talking about AI and all kinds of different things. But beyond content creation and our typical co-pilot use of AI, are you hearing about less obvious applications that could really transform things? I mean, what are you hearing out there where people are actually using it in surprising ways that add real value?
So that's a great question. And so from a Gartner perspective, when we look at use cases, AI use cases, we talk about there are what we call the low cost and the low value kind of use cases, which are the defend use cases. So it's like you roll out Copilot or a chat assistant or something to all employees, Office 365 Copilot or GitHub Copilot or whatever. So those are the defend use cases. Then the next one, which are slightly higher in cost and complexity and risk, but can deliver higher value, are what we call the extend use cases. So you build AI capability, which is integrated with a workflow or a business process kind of thing. Maybe an HR chat bot or a customer facing bot of some kind, or a tool which allows your employees to address customer issues fast and all those kind of things. So those are the extend use cases. And then the third one is like the truly transformative ones, which are the highest cost and but can lead to the highest value, are like you build or train your own model to do stuff, means a large language model or a small language model. So those are the append use cases. Now, the interesting thing is with the defend use cases, so a vendor will say, hey, you roll out this copilot, it will save every employee 14 minutes of time per day. Now, but that 14 minutes of time, whether they use it to do something more productive or they go to Starbucks and get more coffee.
Yes.
And even if they go to Starbucks and get more coffee, does that coffee make them more productive in what they do or not do? It's very difficult to quantify. So for defend use cases, it's very difficult to measure the return on investment. So what you'll get is a return on employee. Your employees will feel good because they are using a new technology. But with the extend use cases where you have tied AI to a business process or workflow, the same metric which you use to judge the performance of that process could be used to judge the returns from AI. So now that this AI chatbot is available to me, my call center can take 60 calls an hour instead of 30 calls an hour. So you can see the benefits there, or the time taken to respond to a customer query has gone down from 30 minutes to 5 minutes or whatever. So you see that value. So for extend use cases, you will see a return on your investment. And again, for the append use cases, you're placing a bet on the future. So you don't know whether you will succeed or not. So you will get a return on the future. So for defend, you get a return on employee. With extend, you get a return on investment. For append, you get a return on the future. So depending upon the kind of organization you are, you have to figure out what your AI use case portfolio looks like. So if you are a very ROI focused organization, most of your use cases need to be in the extend category. If you are a fear of missing out kind of organization, we just want to do AI, check the box off, maybe most of your use cases need to be in the defend category. And if you are a very disruptive organization, you need lots of use cases in the append category kind of thing. Does that help?
Yeah, it does. So Deepak, there's this curiosity in the industry and in economics called the productivity paradox, which over the last few decades, no matter how much companies increase their budget to spend on all these high-tech things since the internet, and everything that we see, from smartphones to AI to everything, yet it doesn't seem like the productivity shows up in the economic numbers. That is always so fascinating to me because we can see it very clearly as individuals. I mean, you and I do a lot of writing and analysis and research in the course of our daily job. And I know I can generate a ton of ideas, a ton of research, a ton of validation, a ton of, all kinds of content generation, from images to slides to everything else, because of generative AI. Yet it doesn't show up. Typically, these technologies are not showing up in the economic numbers. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so that's an interesting point, and there are at least couple of dimensions that one can look at it. Means one is means if you look at the way the quantum shift in productivity was brought about by, say, the steam engine, then followed by electricity, followed by the internet, followed by there was
those are very obvious, weren't they?
Yeah, those were very obvious. With AI, we have not seen that quantum shift happen. So sometimes the question gets posed is, if that has not happened, is it because of the limitation of AI, or is it because of the limitation of the humans to use AI most effectively, kind of thing? So that's one dimension. So most use cases which you think of AI, everybody is using it to get like incremental productivity gains kind of thing. Okay, let's move the needle a bit. It's still moving from defend to extend. There are very few people who are saying, okay, now that AI is there, let's transform the way we do work, like electricity did, and the whole shop floor layout changed when electricity came about, and then the assembly line happened and all that kind of stuff. So that kind of transformation has not happened. And second, a broader, more philosophical thing could be, maybe we are measuring productivity the wrong way kind of thing. So are there in future, even if lot of people are say not doing work the way we have been doing and measuring work, would some other measures of productivity and even compensation be needed in the future kind of thing? Sometimes this interesting conversation comes up is, hey, if many companies are deploying, say, AI agents in companies to do tasks, they may result in headcount reduction kind of thing. So the tax base for governments will also reduce, because now instead of human employees, these AI agents are doing the work. Now, human employees, when they get paid, they get income tax, they pay income tax, they pay many different taxes. Should AI agents be taxed that way? When companies are using AI agents, that should the agent be taxed? And why would that agent be given preference over the human? So the human income is taxed, but the agent is not taxed at all. And as if there is a sizable impact on, say, governmental revenues because of that, governments will have to start think about it. And the second is, if we game out this scenario and say, okay, many or most jobs will go because of AI, then who will pay for building or running that AI kind of thing? So what's the mechanism which needs to evolve so that society can still keep functioning? Yeah, that means just eliminating job, or means new jobs and stuff will be created, but that vision somebody needs to paint out clearly, is like, okay, this is what the bright new future looks like. Yeah.
Now, Deepak, I thought AI was going to help answer more questions, but it's instead we're coming up with more and more questions as a result of AI.
It is not answering, because so that it has not reached that. So sometimes we are expecting too much from it, kind of thing. So even when we talk about AI becoming, say, thinking and reasoning, but it is still a pattern recognition tool at some level kind of thing. It is regurgitating what it has read from knowledge which humans have put together kind of thing. If an AI system was just observing an apple drop from a tree, and it has not learned about gravity from any book or anything at all, will it be able to think and come up like Newton did and say, oh, there must be a force called gravity which is causing the apple to fall down? Or can it come up with the theory of relativity like Einstein did, kind of thing? Now, right now, if you ask it a question, it will definitely talk about gravity and gravitation, but it's because it has ingested all the books and information related to that. But
Right.
can it really think or reason? That's the catch.
So I think I mentioned this concept before, but this interconnected polymathic concept, right? So you have experts across multiple domains that can look at the same problem, but answer it from a chemistry perspective, a physics perspective, a geology perspective, all these. Now, humans could not do that because we don't have that expertise across all those domains. So even though it's human generated content, the ability to look across vast amounts of data and come up with a new concept molded from all those different sources, boy, I'm seeing that happen on a daily basis.
You bring up a great point, Kevin, and I'm reminded of an historical analogy. So we know the father of genetics. Yeah? I mean, Mendel, Gregor Johann Mendel, or whatever. Like, he did experiments with the pea. Yeah, he bred the dwarf pea, tall pea,
Yep.
straight leaf, curly leaf, whatever, and came up with studies. Wrote something about it, but all that research was lost. Yeah. And maybe it got published in some obscure book or something, but the book was sitting there somewhere in some library, in some church library where he worked and all that kind of thing. And then 100 years or 90 years down the road, somebody pulled that book out, and who himself was independently thinking of it and realized that, oh my God, this has already been done, kind of thing. So that kind of situation will no longer happen, because that wisdom means everything has been ingested, and the likelihood of, as soon as I start doing, okay, let me do some experiment with peas, who has done the experiment in the past, it will bring that information to us much quicker. Because sometimes I think about it, how much we do not realize it, but how much knowledge do we constantly lose, kind of thing. So already we see the pyramids and we wonder how they were built, kind of thing. Yeah. So 4,000 years ago or 5,000 years ago, they were built. And so there was some, just assuming that, okay, humans pulled all those rocks, but it's still somebody designed it, somebody did a lot of math was involved and all that kind of thing. And we lost it. Similarly, many other cultures, civilizations have lost a lot of knowledge, kind of thing. So that lost knowledge conundrum also exists, and maybe that will be reduced when AI becomes more robust and impactful.
Absolutely. I have this term that I use is communal systems of scale. And communal means us as a community. We now have these systems that have scaled. We're all interconnected. The data is all available. And now we're applying machine learning on top of that. And that's going to be able to generate new and exciting new ideas and innovations and optimization in ways we've never imagined before.
You hit the nail on the head, and we have written about it also. I'm also a co-author on that. We're talking about, hey, instead of getting bogged down by AGI and ASI, what we are saying is what would happen is somewhat in alignment with what you're saying is ACI, augmented collective intelligence.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So it is collective intelligence, and it is getting augmented with this. So it is human plus AI, and it's what we are calling augmented collective intelligence. So yeah.
Wow, I love it. I love it. I need to read more of your stuff on that. So as AI systems grow more capable, Deepak, how do you see the relationships between humans and machines evolving? What's going to happen? How are we going to evolve together?
It will be a very interesting challenge, I think, because if you look at historical analogies, when the machines came about, then there were the Luddites who wanted to go out and break the power looms and all that.
Yep, the Luddites.
Kind of yeah, Luddites. Yeah. So some of that kind of thing may happen. But the thing is, what is happening is, so even when we think of humans performing tasks as they work in jobs or roles, most people, what they do on a daily basis is much different from what their job description is. Yeah. And so an analyst will complain saying, oh, all my time is lost in this grunt work of getting all this data and information together. I do not get any real time for analysis kind of thing. And now AI comes about and provides that tool or technology saying, hey, all that grunt work can be done in a jiffy kind of thing. And it frees up 80% of your time. But they have never used their real analysis muscle. This grunt work had become their real job. Yeah, they complained about it, but that's what they did on a daily basis. Now, suddenly, when this time frees up for them to do real analysis, they don't know how to do that kind of thing. So, a lot of instead of we talk about upskilling, reskilling. So, this reskilling will also need to happen about the job which you are supposed to do, kind of thing. And then another thing which humans will need to figure out is like, if time gets freed up, like what else could be humans doing with the time which gets freed up. So maybe new dimensions of the human brain get fathomed. Is over the course of human evolutions, there are different capabilities of the brain which we have lost and acquired over a period of time. For example, centuries ago, rote memorization was a sign of wisdom or learning kind of thing. Yeah. So if you can recite the Bible or the Quran or the Gita verbatim, you were considered the most wisest person in your society kind of thing. Now, slowly, when publishing or printing happened, people gave up that skill. Yeah. And there are wise people who don't memorize anything. I was listening to someone yesterday talk about how we don't remember any phone number right now because everything is there. But just a few years ago, like in our generation, we used to remember like at least everybody remembered at least 50 phone numbers. Yeah. Yeah. At least your mother, your father, your child, you remembered all of them kind of thing. But now that has shrunk. People, even for their own phone number, they have to look like what's my own.
I must say, when there were only landlines, there was far fewer phone numbers to memorize.
Yeah, that is true.
They were associated with houses and buildings, not individuals.
Yeah. So some people say cognitive offloading is bad, means as more and more cognitive offloading is happening, so the human capability and potential is getting reduced. But I'm thinking that just like when we gave up rote memorization, we picked up some other skill. Brain was still utilized. We gave up memorizing math tables and offloaded that to the calculator. But then we went to space, invented nuclear technology, all that using calculators. Means it's a constant human cycle. We worry about things which we don't know yet, and so that's again human nature. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I imagine in my head a factory manager calling in his digital agents and saying, now, look, I'm gone for the weekend, but I want you to stay here and I want you to analyze everything about everything. I want you to find innovations, how to optimize my factory. I want you to invent new things, find out what my competition's doing, find out what we should do in response to our competitors. You do that while I'm gone for the weekend. So he comes back on Monday morning. There's 20,000 suggestions on his desk. And he looks at it and he's like, well, I'm never going to get to those 20,000. He goes home that evening on Monday evening, comes back on Tuesday. There's another 20,000 ideas there. Those are all called possibility spaces.
Yep.
And our possibility spaces are expanding massively, exponentially.
Mm-hmm.
So I look at that and say, many of those need to be funded. They need to be new businesses, new companies, new focus areas. So when people ask, what the impact of jobs, AI is going to be on jobs, it's still a mystery to us because we don't really know. But when I see this exploding possibility space out there, I've got to think, man, there's going to be so many new opportunities that need to be pursued by somebody or something.
Absolutely. I mean, who thought there would be a high-paying job like TikTok influencer or social media influencer? And so many kids are earning their livelihood, 5-figure, 6-figure incomes, just being influencers, kind of thing. But your point about the person assigning tasks to agents, there's a philosopher's paradox about that, which says, hey. And I forget the name of the philosopher who came up with it. Like if an AI system was tasked with something like that, okay, maximize output based on all things, then we will end up with a society which has no resources left because it will consume everything to deliver the widgets, kind of thing. Yeah. So
absolutely. We have a word for that here at TCS. We talk about polyintelligence or the polyintelligent leader. And what that means is many intelligences are going to be required in the leadership or the leader of tomorrow. And when we look at those, what might they be? Well, the combination of human intelligence, machine and digital intelligence, and ecological intelligence, the limitations, the systems of nature. You combine those three, intertwine or braid those three as the ability to respond to this emerging world. This polyintelligent leadership is going to be not only required, but necessary for us to have a moral and positive future. Any thoughts on that?
You're absolutely right. Means this ethical and moral guardrails around what AI does or how AI delivers would be key. And it can evolve or change also. Means so it's like as humans build and change AI will change and impact humans too. So it's already doing that in a way. So every technology has influenced us in some way or the other, kind of thing. So I'm sure AI is another. And then maybe already so we are so caught up in AI right now. AI has hogged all the air out of the innovation ecosystem that we have forgotten that there may be some post-AI innovations or some parallel tracks of innovation which might might be going around or need some fanning, I guess.
Oh, that's pretty funny because today I was looking at a chart of innovations and inventions over a time scale. And I was like, okay, what comes after AI?
Yeah.
A lot of things. Final question here, Deepak. So if we look ahead 5 years, putting on our futurist hat, what breakthroughs or paradigm shifts in AI and analytics do you think will be most surprising to us over the next 5 years? What breakthroughs will be most surprising?
I think the most breakthrough would be like people will realize that the AI, as you said, polyintelligence or AI should be used or could be used to address what we are calling wicked problems. Yeah. So these are the unsolvable problems which have plagued us for a long, long time. This could be within an organization, could be for society in general. So maybe find find a cure for malaria. So malaria is already being close to being addressed, but maybe the vaccine for particular diseases kind of thing.
Yep.
Maybe we have not solved the problem of war and famine and stuff like that. Yeah, maybe those are problems which AI, if humans have struggled to find solutions for that, could AI help find solutions for that? These all sound esoteric, means, but these are the problems which really need solving. And similarly, there are intractable problems within organizations also, which for whatever reason sometimes they get brushed aside because humans are not able to find a solution for them. Maybe those need to be revisited. For example, if you look at all the police procedural shows around cold cases and stuff, yeah, when as DNA testing evolved, now cold cases solving efficiency improved. So
Right.
we have society, organization have a lot of these cold cases in our archives, kind of thing. Maybe they also need to be looked at and solved. So I think lot of what we get from AI will come from looking ahead, but we also have to look back and solve some of the things which have been on the back burner for a long time, and use them to deliver value. So address those wicked
Absolutely. I talk about the collapsing the wall of complexity, where in the past we as humans have been limited. We've not been able to penetrate these giant walls of complexity because they are, in fact, too complex for us. But with the help of AI, these walls that prevented us from entering and exploring and finding better answers quicker, now that wall is collapsing, and we can now enter that environment where the complexity had restricted movement by humans. It's now open to us.
Yeah.
We can go in there and start solving all kinds of complex issues and problems.
Absolutely.
Wow. Deepak, that was a fascinating exploration of how data and analytics and intelligence are converging into this new strategic operating system for business. I want to thank you, Deepak, for helping us gain insight into this rapidly evolving world out there, wrapped up in AI and analytics.
Yeah, thanks again for the opportunity, Kevin. Always a pleasure to talk with you and all your guests of the show. So this all your audience of the show. So yeah, and anytime maybe we catch up again in the new year. We started this year with a conversation. We are ending this year with a conversation, and let's start 2026 down the road in a few months.
That's a guarantee. Thanks, Deepak.
Thank you.